My name is Tim Colley, and I'm 57 years old, and I'm going to tell you how I got started with Zija. 2008, I was living in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was food service district manager at Western Kentucky University. And my family has had a history of high blood pressure, coronary issues. It has been the calling card and the demise of many of my family members. So it's something I've always been a little sensitive to. When I turned 40, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I've been on high blood pressure meds ever since. 2008, I was actually feeling pretty good physically, professionally, but I was having real problems with my blood pressure. Very high, on medications. I was on 5 different meds. I couldn't tell you which ones at this point. But it was 180 over 110, averaged about 170 over 105. So, saw a cardiologist, gave me a stress test. I did 9.5 minutes in the stress test, which was obviously pretty good. But I guess it was obviously, they said it was good. But the problem was as I did the stress test and I increased the intensity, instead of my blood pressure going up, which was normal, it went down. And when I got off and sat down, it jumped back up, again back in the 180 over about 115 range. And the cardiologist was telling me how very unusual that is. And of course, the scariest part is as I was on the stress test, I'm looking at the results, I hear all the oohs and ahs and what, look at this. They never did really tell me what it was, so I was pretty scared. So he put me on medicine, minoxidil. And I had faith in the cardiologist. I had, no reason not to. My family and I were making a trip, and I had just started medication. I had some really bad stomach cramps, but hadn't been on blood pressure medications before, and being used to side effects I didn't think much of, so I stayed on it. I stayed on it, I guess, for about 10 days. And side effects I had from it kept increasing, but I went back to the cardiologist. He never once mentioned it could possibly be the medicine. So without going into all the details, I'll kind of give you a summary. I had headaches, sinus pressure issues, gastro reflux issues, severe ear pain like ear cramps. So having my faith in doctors, I started seeing doctors of every kind, all kinds of dental surgeons and people about TMJ, if that was what was causing the ear problems, the jaw problems. I saw 3 ENTs in Bowling Green. I went and saw 2 ENT specialists in Nashville, one of which ranked one of the top 5 in the nation. It cost me $900 in office visit, just for the pleasure of going to his office. And that genius, after all the tests, told me that cut back on my salt intake. And so having been on high blood pressure medicines, I was already pretty much out of the salt market already. So I was like, is that all you got for me? Is that it? And he said, yeah, I don't see anything else wrong with you. You just got this random pain thing. So reduce your salt intake. So I started asking about the sinus thing, because he's an ENT. And he said, oh, no. I don't do that. I just do ears. Go see one of my colleagues, who was only about $700. I did not take him up on that offer. So I would travel Louisville, I traveled to Nashville, I traveled to Owensboro. I've seen doctors of all kinds, chiropractors, and then they started going on with fibromyalgia, what it was. Well, while this was happening, I was degrading. My body was, in fact, shutting down. At one period of time, between 2 doctor's visits, I lost 17 pounds in 14 days. I was becoming dysfunctional. I couldn't go to work. I could get myself to work. Sometimes my wife would have to drive me to the office. I'd be good for 3 or 4 hours. Anxiety would take over. I just couldn't think, couldn't carry on the conversation. I couldn't remember what I was saying one sentence to the next. I'm sorry. I still have a little trouble talking about it. And 2 things saved my life. And I'll verify that, and I'll tell you what they finally figured out what was wrong with me. My daughter, Shayna, somehow got invited to a meeting with Zija. And the kids knew, they were in school there, they knew I was sick, but they didn't come over a whole lot, didn't tell them a whole lot about it, so I don't think they really fully knew how bad. But she saw the presentation on Zija, And at this time, I wasn't eating a lot. I couldn't. I had no desire to. I couldn't eat. Didn't want to eat. And she said my daddy could use that. So she signed up, and she got me to start taking the Zija. And I liked it. I could take that. I could drink that. I could keep it down. The other thing I think that saved my life was I found what they call an integrated doctor. So a licensed, trained MD who now practices more alternative medicines, but he has the knowledge and skills and training as a regular MD. A doctor by the name of Stephen Reisman in Nashville. So about the same time I found him, but to tell you how bad it was when I went to go see Stephen Reisman, because it was my ears were the worst part. The ringing and the pain was like severe earaches in both ears. So I'm not sleeping. And I remember telling my wife one time, I said, and the ringing was really bad with tinnitus. I said, I remember telling her one time, I said, if I had my choice, if I could just get over the pain and feel better physically, I'd live with the noise. Now, careful what you ask for. So finally I had a gastroenterologist. I mean, the test I had, CAT scans of my brains, and I had been x-rayed and photoed and scanned and more times. I'd probably glow in the dark. They put up some kind of device. They placed a device down my gastroenterology tract for 3 days to measure the acid reflux. I spent a fortune on doctors. Finally, an infectious disease doctor, Dr. Shadowing, took the right blood test and found that my antihistones were out of whack, way out of whack. So I don't know what that is. So I asked her, and she said, well, she gave me a little bit of a scientific thing. Finally, what she said was, look, and she did put it down on paper. She said, you had a toxic reaction to the medication. The medicine was toxic to your system. Your blood became toxic. And in effect, it inflamed, disrupted my immune system, and my body was attacking itself systematically, which is why it's so pervasive in so many systems. But she couldn't really say how to fix it. But here's the problem, how to fix it. So I took that blood work to Dr. Reisman, and he said, well, we got to get your blood work right. And so he gave me a number of different, not medicines, but things to take, natural things to take. A lot of sessions, counseling sessions, a lot of blood transfusions, and the whole time I was on Zija. And I got better, and it was a long road to hoe. I was dying. It was really bad. It took me the better part of 2 years, this whole process. And to tell you the truth, I'm not 100% today. I'm not the person I was before all this happened, but I'm still here. So I have been on Zija ever since. And I will tell you this, Zija doesn't cure anything. Zija did not cure my issue. Okay, but what Zija did was give me the nutrition that I wasn't otherwise getting. And unless you get proper nutrition, the common cold will get you. You've got to feed your body what it needs. And Zija will tell you that they don't treat, diagnose, cure anything, but it's the most nutrient dense, bioavailable, actively alive, enzymatically alive, all those scientific terms. What it means is it has more nutrients in that one plant than anything else ever been found on this planet. It's raised organically and naturally. It's processed naturally. You drink it in a format that your body can easily absorb it, and your body doesn't have any problems with rejecting it. It doesn't happen. And for me, it was just what I needed, because I could not take in any nutrients any other way. And to this day, when I don't have at least my morning daily dose, I can tell a difference. So that's what it meant to me. There's lots of stories out there. I've got no reason to doubt any of them. I have medical records this thick. Mine's fully substantiated, but I don't go a day without it. I did not take the business seriously. I was a couple years recovering. I was in my other career progress with food service management in the area market. I had goals I wanted to hit there. I did have a PBR. I did talk to some people about it, but I didn't really work the system. At the time, I wasn't really wanting to do the business. I was wanting to meet my other professional goals and get healthy. And the amazing part is I started very early in this business with a lot of the top people in the business today, and met them, and Chris Estes and Keltner and Luke Curry and meetings and talked to Russ Bianchi. Russ Bianchi talked to me about what I needed to do for my health, and I followed some of his advice and took some things and sent off for some things that he advised me to take. So, what I do want to add is I don't want you thinking I'm critical of medicine and doctors. I saw a lot of really good, caring doctors who really tried. But what I found is that it's not the be-all, end-all, cure-all. Medicine has become so specialized. They have their own little area of expertise and specialization. You have to find one that looks at the whole person. And my experience with Zija, in my case, was for my health and benefit. I looked at the business. I didn't engage in it because I had other things on my mind. So I suggest you look at Zija for two reasons. One is for your own health and well-being. First and foremost, take care of yourself. The principle is that the human body is an amazing, amazing creation. And if it is properly taken care of and fed properly, it has a tendency to self-correct. That's why you see so many people like me with a story to tell about what it did for them. It didn't cure me, but it fed my body what it needed and the amounts that it needed that allowed my body to do what it does, which was to self-correct. Secondarily is for the business. The thing about the business is you're not selling anything. It's a product that you can share with people that can impact their lives, their families' lives, people they love and care about, friends that they know, whatever the situation is, that can impact them positively in their health and well-being and in their financial state, whether it's a full-time thing, you look for part-time income. If you look for part-time income and part-time hours, if you look for full-time income and part-time hours, it's just sharing what it is. So I appreciate you taking time to listen to me. I highly recommend you take a good look at it. Look for yourself. Google it. Look online. Study it. Read it. Give it a try. And I think you'll be happy for the rest of your life that you did. Thank you all very much.